If you have ever bought a powerful tool like TaxDome and thought, this is going to make my life so much easier, only to realize that it is a lot of work to get set up, well, you are not alone. Patty is a firm owner just like you, and she was in this exact same spot. And I had a call with her today and her team, and I wanted to share with you the outcome of that call because I think that it could be really valuable for you in your process of setting up your TaxDome system so that it doesn't have to be an uphill battle. Patty is a firm owner just like you, and she wasn't exactly sure how to move forward. She had lots of questions like, how do we stop chasing clients for documents? And how do we juggle the paper and virtual clients? And they were really nervous about setting up TaxDome the wrong way. So they joined Workflows for Tax Pros, and now just a couple weeks later, they are in the process of transforming their chaos into smarter, more efficient workflows that are going to save them time, stress, and make their tax season so much more manageable. And so today I want to walk you through the exact framework that I gave Patty and her team so that you can lean into this too, because I know that you're going to find this super valuable. So I am going to share with you an outline, and I'm actually going to drop this outline below this video so you can check it out yourself and use this as your path forward. But the things that I wanted to call out is, as I mentioned, they were feeling really overwhelmed. They were trying to set up TaxDome. They didn't have a clear plan. And so they wanted that assurance of how to get to the success that they are desiring. Patty is a traveler. She's an artist. She wants to be spending more time with her grandkids, and setting up TaxDome is not where she wants to spend a lot of her time. She and her team feel like they've been chasing their clients for documents and signatures with no consistent process. They're constantly interrupted with phone calls and drop-ins, and is really killing their productivity during tax season. And they also had a mix of paper and portal clients. So they were uncertain how to not create disjointed workflows and how that can all maybe work together. And they also were really fearful of setting it up wrong and then regretting it later. So of course, that's why they came to Workflows for Tax Pros, because they wanted our proven methods about how a small practice can set this up. So Patty and her team, they have, I think it's 7 employees. And so they're a pretty mighty team. And the first thing that I shared with them is that they need to build a solid foundation. Now, they're only a month or so into TaxDome, but they really want to make sure they're setting it up right the first time. And so I wanted to let them know that they can do this with ease. The first thing is that rather than creating workflows for everything right now, they should pick one workflow and implement that first. So when you're setting up the TaxDome system, that can mean creating the workflow itself, identifying what are the steps of your process to actually execute it from point A to delivered. And within each of those steps, what are the deliverables to the client? What are the things that you need to be doing? What are the things the client needs to be doing or providing you? And adding in tasks and automations for each of those actions. Then you need to be thinking about how am I communicating with my client through that process. And so there is the creation of all the templates. You've got to create all your organizers. You need to create all your tasks, all of your email communications or chat communications to your client status updates. All of those components of the workflow make up the TaxDome pipeline. And that's where we're able to automate the execution of that service. And so when you're creating your foundation, you need to be thinking about what is that first workflow that I want to do? Document it, create your templates, then build your pipeline. That is how you're going to do it with the most effectiveness, the most efficiently. Now, if you're like, that sounds like a crap ton of work. Unfortunately, it is. But lucky for you, you found me. And that's what we do at Workflows for Tax Pros. We give you our proven workflows that contain all of the templates, all of the workflows based on the 1,000 practices that we work with. Because I know you feel like your practice might be really special, but I promise you the underpinnings and the foundation of the work that you're doing is exactly like your colleague down the street. For example, with tax prep, you've got to onboard the client, you got to prepare the return, you got to have the client review it, you got to get signatures, you got to e-file it, and then you offboard, right? Everybody does it the same. Those are the 5 steps that have to happen for every client that goes through your process, whether it's you or the guy down the street. So we have created our workflows based on our experience in working with so many different types of practices, from practice of 10 to a solo practitioner who is just themselves doing it part-time as a side hustle. And so I can tell you that our workflows are proven, they do work, and they give an excellent client experience because that is what we're all about. The second thing you need to do is you need to shift your client communications to asynchronous. This is a big one, and this was a big one from the conversation I had with Patty and her team today. They were spending a lot of time in client meetings and also calling every client to review their return. Now, the fix that I gave them is our return reveal process using Loom reviews. Now, Loom reviews are an asynchronous video review that you do of the return documents, and you send that to your client so that they can watch it. Now, it is innovative. Some clients maybe won't like it, but if you're calling your clients and telling them the outcome of their return, that is great. I love that you're doing that to communicate to your clients, but what if we could have a video review that goes to the client that they can then rewind and watch again, possibly reducing the questions that they have or having them ask better questions in a more prepared way. So they're not on the spot trying to think of the questions that they should be asking, and maybe you're catching them while they're driving their kid to school or they're trying to head out to pickleball. We are able to allow them to watch the video in an environment that is maybe more appropriate for a review of a tax return. And also then if they want to meet or have questions, they can then open the communications with you to do that. And so at first, her team was actually like, maybe we can try it for some of our clients. And my recommendation was, if you're going to do it for one, do it for all. Make it a standard process. Why did I tell them this? Because when you standardize the way in which you're servicing your clients, making sure that all of them, all of your virtual clients, are being executed in the same way, there is no doubt in anybody on the team's mind that did this person receive their Loom review? Because when you start modifying or start accommodating to what your perceived perceptions are of how somebody might respond, and you start working outside of your normal process, it slows you down and makes you less efficient. And that's where gaps start happening. Cracks start being filled with clients and it makes more work for you in the long term. The other thing that I shared with them is the reason that I think the Loom reviews are so powerful as an operational improvement tool is that you get to prepare the review on your schedule. So if you're preparing a return, you have it done, it's been blessed by the final review, and it's ready to go. It takes 3 to 5 minutes to complete a video review, return review, and then it can go out to the client. You're not having to wait until you actually get on the phone with a client, because how often are you, if you're doing phone reviews, calling a client and they're not available to talk? And so you then say, or leave a message, or you ask them to call you back. And when they do that, you're in the middle of something else. And now you are breaking your concentration, and it takes 20 to 30 minutes, they say, to actually refocus yourself to go back to a task if you're interrupted in the middle of it. So if you're having heads down, cranking out the return time, and somebody calls and you have to stop, you have to go grab that return, you got to pick it up, you got to review what was in there, then you got to review it with the client, that is taking you away from your productivity. That is huge. So if you are able to instead send a video to someone while it's fresh in your mind, review it for them, then send the link to them, they watch it. If they have questions, they email it back. You have a block of time that is on your calendar. Maybe it's Tuesdays and Thursday mornings from 8 a.m. to 12. You're going to make those available windows for clients to schedule appointments with you, so that you are no longer reacting, you are being proactive in the calendaring of your workday. That is in itself a game changer. So if you take anything away from this video, I hope it is that. Shift the way in which you are working. What you've done will not get you where you want to go. And these video reviews are the game changer. Okay, let's talk about step number 3. Their big question was, okay, so now we have this beautiful process for our virtual clients, but we still have some paper clients. They're in an Amish community. Most of them don't have mobile devices, right? And so Patty was concerned about their elderly clients and the paper-only clients. And how do they, instead of forcing them into using virtual, how can they still maintain those relationships and how can they still serve them? And so my tip to her was, we can run those clients right next to our virtual clients in our pipeline. In TaxDome, you do not have to have multiple pipelines to manage different types of clients. So we can have our individual returns, our business returns, all of those being virtual clients, meaning they're using the client portal to deliver all documentation to us. They're answering our questions in the portal. They are expected to use the portal. That is where you're going to get most efficient, right? But then we have our third type, which is our paper-only client. We can operate all three of those in the exact same pipeline, allowing us to have one dashboard that we need to go into to see where clients are at. Be able to go in and assess where our bottlenecks are, be able to go in and troubleshoot, be able to go in and communicate with our team members. One place where you go and do the work. That itself will change the way in which you and your team are operating and the efficiency that you have in your day-to-day work. Huge. So what can they do there? They can tag those clients as paper and build separate pipeline tasks and steps for those clients. Now, again, you're like, oh, but how do I do that? No worries. We got you. We have this already built into our signature tax prep pipeline where the paper clients and the virtual clients cohabitate in the same pipeline. And we give you the step-by-step on how to make that efficient so that you can get the documents from the client, scan them right in, and then they're right back in alignment with reviewing the documents right next to your virtual clients. That is so huge. The fourth thing is that you've got to test your pipelines. Build them and then test them, because the testing is where you are going to become comfortable and confident in the TaxDome systems, the pipelines, the workflows, the automation. This is often a very different way of operating for a lot of people. There's a lot more communications going out than they're typically used to. There's a lot more touches to the client than they're typically used to. You need to get familiar with that so that when your clients come back and say, oh my gosh, you're emailing me so much, that's not a symptom. That is actually a good sign, because you probably weren't able to communicate effectively and comprehensively with your previous systems. TaxDome allows us to do that. It allows us to breadcrumb our clients to success. And so when you test it, you get more familiar with what your client is experiencing. So if they start having nerves, you can be like, no, I understand, Mrs. Smith, we are emailing you more, but this is a good thing because we can now make sure that you don't miss any of the important details in the process of working with us for your tax return. That comes through the experience of you seeing what it looks like. So testing your clients, I would recommend, if you're implementing your TaxDome system right now in early August, September, you could even use a couple of your extension clients as test cases. Put them into your pipeline, let them run through, let them experience it and give you feedback. You can communicate with those people and say, hey, we have this new software. We're doing this new thing. I would love for you to be my guinea pig and run through it and give me your feedback. They may have and catch some of the things, but before you put those clients in, test your pipelines, do it a few times, get the reps, get the familiarity with the system. It's going to be a game changer in your confidence when you do put a real client in. So once you are doing your testing, if you do find that places are sticky or you do find that things need to be tweaked, document that and then go back and make your changes and then test again. That's going to be the best plan of action for you. So let's review. What did we just go through? So the plan of action that I gave to Patty and the team were: 1, pick your first workflow. This is your priority workflow. Maybe tax prep is that the one biggest headache in your practice. Number 2, you're going to test this with a few test clients. These test clients are not real clients. You're going to get a feel for the system. Then you can put in a few pilot or beta clients. These can be the ones that you can roll through the system before you do a full rollout to all of your clients. Number 3, you're going to use video reviews. This is going to reduce phone calls. It's going to reduce your interruptions during your preparing of the returns, and it's going to increase your client satisfaction. Number 4, you're going to segment those paper clients so that you can have them run right next to your virtual clients in your pipeline, where you're going to be able to make sure that nobody's falling in a crack because everybody is in one place and you can see clearly who's where and what. Now, I'm going to give you a bonus here. The 5th one is protecting implementation time. This was one of the conversations I had with the person that is implementing for the firm. She is the front desk staff. She's been tagged their super user. And what I told her, because she was like, oh, I'm watching some of your videos, but it's not really clicking yet. And then I watch and I get occupied by something else. And then I go off on that path for a while. And I was like, this is why you need to be putting implementation time on your calendar every week. This needs to be sacred time. This needs to be your future investment time, because when you can segment this time, put a block on your calendar, say, this is my TaxDome implementation time. Then you take the action of actually implementing it. If you spend 3 to 4 hours a week in just a handful of weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to have your whole TaxDome system set up. You're going to feel really confident in your system. And that 3 to 4 hour window is about the amount of time that one can have focus. At least that's what I find. But then it's enough time that you can get into videos, you can get into learning, you can get into the setup, and then you can get into testing. And that allows you to have enough time to do that and before you put it away and go do something else. But that sacred time is going to be the investment into your future and the investment into being able to work efficiently and effectively in the future. So I want you to protect implementation time each week, because this is how you're going to build capacity for not only tax season, but for you for years to come, you and your practice for years to come. And so that is a huge piece. So the key to all of this, set it up right the first time. It's going to save you many, many hours. And if you are looking for support on how to do that, you can check out the video below this one where we walk through our frameworks, our methodologies here at Workflows for Tax Pros. And if we're the right fit for you and you're like, yes, I want a guide, I want someone to show me the proven way of using TaxDome in my small practice, then we're your people. If not, I wish you lots of luck, and I hope that this video gives you a little bit of a guide on how you can move forward with success in setting up your TaxDome this year and keep you moving ahead and making the progress that you need so that next tax season it's peaceful, it's structured, it's efficient, and you are living your best life because you're no longer working evenings and weekends, and your clients are being well cared for without you burning the midnight oil. All right, I hope you have a beautiful day, and we'll see you in our next training.